voice anyway. How'd you like that introduction? Just kidding, just kidding. It's my fault. It's my fault that she is not introducing me. Kay Hurt, as you know, is my compatriot. She and I are in business together and have known each other for about 102 years. She's in Germany. She roped me into doing this, which I'm glad to do. I'm really glad to talk to Women's Council. And she's not even here to introduce me. It was my challenge to send an introduction to Marilyn so she could do that, but I didn't. Anyway, I have been in the business for some time. April the 1st, 1975, which means it'll be 40 years coming up next year. So I do have a little experience in real estate. I have had my own company for a little while with Kay and with Shirley Wendling. Many of you know Shirley, past president, and started out in the business April 1st, 1975 with Delbert Ludlow, and joined Women's Council shortly after I became involved in real estate, and my mentor was the famous Lee Birch. Lee Birch, many of you know the name, may not know her, but in 1975, when I joined real estate, she was the star. Real involved with Women's Council, obviously. She was instrumental in getting this chapter started, and a past national president. And she was the mentor. She got me involved in Women's Council. She encouraged me to be in Women's Council. I'm so glad she did. When we started in 1975, education was almost lacking, almost missing. I mean, the board did some, but it wasn't as involved. And when Women's Council, when our chapter formed, we sort of became the education arm for the board. And Women's Council started bringing speakers in. We have educational sessions. We trained our women. We talked about all kinds of things in the way of education, and then the board started doing things too. But you know, when I was walking out of the office just a few minutes, or just about an hour or so ago, I looked on our bulletin board and I was looking at all these flyers about educational opportunities. And they're everywhere. Look at what we just heard. I mean, that was fabulous. Yes! That's what I'm going to take away from that, and I'm going to use that a lot. But he's a good speaker. The education, we get it through the Board of Realtors. We get it through our companies. How many times a week do we get a flyer in our mailbox? Or an email. When I opened my email this morning, there was a note that said, hey, there's some technology training. Believe me, I need technology training too. Now we're going to have more board training because we're not going to have Fusion, we're not going to have Tempo. What are we going to have? Matrix. And guess what? I'm really excited about that. And probably all of you are too. But that's what happens, education. If you don't have education, then you're not going to stay in this business. I know I'm an old-timer, and I'm proud of it. And I'm very proud of this Women's Council chapter. Of course, Helen Hurt and Lee Birch and Jane Stedman and all the oldies. When I was president in 1985, I had Linda Hazard on one side and Kay Hurt on the other, and Shirley Wendling right there. And then I was a member of the board of directors, and I served on the state chapter and traveled all over to conventions. Women's Council has made me proud, and this chapter especially. Congratulations, Madam President.